Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Coffee with Walt. This is going to be the first in what might become a series, if need be, on real estate tips and tricks that I've used in my own business that I just wanted to share. It's going to be essentially the same information that I might pass along if I'm actually having a coffee meeting with a new agent and they're asking me questions about how they can get started on the right foot. So hopefully this information will benefit you if you're just getting started and want to build your business the right way, or even if you've been around for a while and you're just looking for some tips and tricks on how to take your business to the next level. So let's dive right in. You can see that I'm actually sitting in my dining room. Nobody wants to sit in Walt's dining room. So I've put a nice backdrop here with a coffee shop. So if you brought coffee to Coffee with Walt, go ahead and drop me a comment. Tell me what you're drinking. Let's make this fun and interesting. So are you a black coffee drinker? Do you put a bunch of foo-foo creamer in it? Are you a tea instead of coffee drinker? Let me know what you like. I'm usually a black coffee guy myself. On the weekends, when I have a moment to relax, sometimes I'll put a bunch of foo-foo creamer in it, like almond joy flavored or amaretto, and I'll enjoy the flavor of the coffee more than the utility of the caffeine. Today, I'm going to follow kind of a series of questions that I've written down in advance based on conversations that I've had in the past with other agents. And so this will cover everything from I'm brand new, where do I start, to leads versus referrals. How do you build a business? How do you work a sphere of influence? How do you maintain good contact with that sphere of influence so that you continue to build your business year over year? Before I dive into all that, do me a favor and just, I think I have to say this because I'm on YouTube today. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. If I wind up making other videos, you'll be notified if you hit the little bell notification. If there's good interest in this video, and if folks drop comments about other areas they'd like me to touch on, or maybe they'd like to do a deep dive on some of the specific areas I'm going to talk about today, I'm happy to do another video. I love providing knowledge. It's going to be 100% free all the time, forever. I'm not a fan of paying for things you can get for free, and so I'd never charge you money to give you information either. These are simply the things I've used in my own business. Okay, with that said, let me give you a quick 30-second background on me so you know who this Yahoo is that's doing the video. I did a couple decades in the Navy before I got into real estate, so I don't have a sales background. This was not a long-term career moving from one sales position into real estate. I'm not a salesman at all, and I'll tell everyone that. But as I was nearing retirement, I decided it's time to get into real estate. I loved real estate for a long time. I've been an investor. I've owned multiple properties. Even in a military career, moving around every couple of years, I've usually bought a home and either resold it or turned it into a rental. And so I've been playing with real estate for a long time, but I've been licensed in real estate just a little bit. In 2018, when I was deciding to retire to Central Virginia, I went ahead and got my real estate license in hopes that over the course of the next few years, I could build up enough business in real estate to supplement the income loss that I was going to have when I retired from the Navy. And so in May of 2018, I got my license and I started doing real estate. Quick background. In 2018, from May 22nd, the day I received my license, to the end of that year, I closed about 10 transactions. And most people told me, hey, that's great for a first-time agent. This isn't your first year. That's really good. So in 2019, I closed over 20 transactions, and that put me in the top 10% of our MLS region. That was the first full year I'd been in real estate. In that first full year, I made 6 figures in gross commission income. And I thought to myself, wow, this real estate thing is going to work out okay. I don't have to worry about my family's quality of life when I get out of the Navy and just stop getting active duty Navy pay. 2020 was a great year despite the pandemic, and I did about 40 transactions. Ended 2020 in the top 5% of the MLS, technically the top 2.2%, but at that point, who's counting, right? And so my goal for 2021 is to do more transactions than I did in 2020. Thus far for 2021, I'm well inside the top 5% again as of this moment, and I'm on track to close more sales, which is what I wanted to do. I don't track volume metrics as closely as I track closed transactions metrics because for me, I'm less concerned about the dollar amount and I'm far more concerned about the relationships that I'm building through my real estate business. And so every closed transaction to me is a relationship that went well and is something that I will continue to nurture in the future. So that's my frame of mind. I look at transactions over volume. However, I think most people would argue that in the course of a 3 year real estate career, some of that while still active duty Navy, the volume and the closed transactions that I've been able to do is pretty impressive. So I just wanted to share a couple thoughts on how I think I was able to do that. And hopefully you can take some of those things and put them into your own business. So let's dive right in. That's a little background on me. Enough of that. Let's talk about real estate. So one of the first questions that I typically get asked is, well, I'm brand new. I'm just getting started. How do I pick the right brokerage? What am I looking for? And I'm not here to sell you on one broker or another. That's not the point of the video here. I'm not trying to convince you to go any one way. But I always tell new agents there really is three things that I would look for if I was just starting out. And so if you're an agent and you're not comfortable where you're at, you don't feel like you're growing, this might still be valid for you also. And I always tell new agents look for a brokerage that provides you the best technology, the best training, and the best environment. Don't get wrapped up in do they offer a desk fee? How much is it? Do I have to pay for this or that? What's the commission split? That stuff usually will work itself out over time if you build a good business. But in order to build a strong business, you really need an environment where you can learn and grow and become a great agent. And so look at a brokerage that provides a good working environment where there's people around that are willing to help you, a brokerage that provides great training so that they onboard their new agents with knowledge and techniques and tips that will get them started on the right foot. And then a brokerage with great technology to help you help your clients as you move through a transaction. So that technology could be things like CRMs or marketing engines that come with the brokerage membership. It could be a variety of other back office suites that are useful to you. But just look for those three things as you evaluate different brokerages. Look for the best technology, the best training, and the best environment that's going to allow you to grow and learn as a new agent. Okay, so if that didn't apply to you, I apologize. But for new agents, I think that's very valid for them to be thinking about. So let's talk about, I'm already in a brokerage, I'm a newer agent, or maybe I'm an agent that's been around a little bit, but I'm just now really starting to build the business. And how do I market myself? What do I need to be doing? Some people think that you need to be out there spending lots of money every month on ads and lead gen and marketing, and I disagree. I don't spend a lot of money in marketing and I don't spend any money in lead generation. I really believe that you should be marketing yourself first and foremost to your sphere of influence. Who already knows you, likes you, trusts you, would be comfortable doing business with you? Those are the folks that you need to make sure are aware that you're in real estate now. And so take the time to give them a call, see how they're doing, how's the family. Oh, by the way, I recently got into real estate. So if you or anyone you know might need to buy or sell, please give me a ring, think of me, and just let them know you're in the business. If they already know you and they like you and they trust you anyway, they're very likely to be reaching out to you first when there's a real estate need. Maybe it's their own real estate need. Maybe they want to buy and sell. Maybe it's someone else that they know. I think the last statistic I saw said the average person knows 5 to 6 people that are going to do a real estate deal in any given year. So for every one person you know in your sphere of influence, there's potentially 5 or 6 referrals to a buyer or a seller that they are aware of. The only chink in that armor is they need to know who to send those referrals to. And that's why you're marketing yourself first and foremost to your sphere of influence. You can do that in a variety of ways. Obviously, just have conversations with them, be friendly, be engaging, and then let them know you're in real estate. The other things you can do to market yourself for free is social media. Everyone's on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter and TikTok and all these other platforms these days. Um, don't inundate your personal Facebook page with business as you build it, because you'll turn off a lot of people. But as you're first getting started, by all means, post that you're super excited to be in this great new career in real estate. And if anyone knows of someone that needs help, you would love to help them. That's a great use of your social media. It doesn't cost you anything. Don't go out there and buy, bus stop bench signs and billboards, and don't go spend 5 grand to wrap a van with your logo on it. You don't need to do that. Market to your sphere of influence, market to the people that already know you and trust you. Um, you grow your brand. All right. Everyone wants to grow their brand, and you're going to grow that brand by not spending a lot of money, but by doing the transactions that you get incredibly well. So, service that everyone wants to brag about is really what every brand is built on. I don't care what industry you're in. If you're great at what you do and you stand out above your industry peers, that will be noticed. And so focus on the quality of your service and not on the quantity of your transactions at first, to really start building your brand as the expert in the industry that gets it done well and serves the client incredibly well. And that will go a long way towards building your brand. That word of mouth travels far more than any marketing dollar will. Okay, so that's a little bit about marketing yourself. If you want more information, more tips, more tricks, you want me to expand on anything I say throughout this video, just drop a comment in the video and say, hey, what about this? And I will absolutely answer your question, but I'll also, if need be, if there's a lot of people that are interested in the same thing, I'll do another video for you guys, and I'll post that one as well. So um, here's one that I hear a lot. I tell people, market to your sphere of influence, build your brand with your sphere of influence. And they say, well, Walt, I don't know a lot of people. My sphere of influence is pretty small. The first thing I would say is it's probably not as small as you think. So, yes, family, close friends, that's an obvious one. But think outside the immediate sphere into interactions that you have on a more regular basis. Your doctor, your dentist, your hairdresser, the cashier that you see 3 times a week because you're always going to the same shopping spot and they just happen to be there. The parents of the kiddos that you go and do sports with in the summer. There's so many different ways to really, really, really sit down and think about, who all do I interact with over the course of a year? All of those people are your sphere of influence. So bear that in mind. It's not just your friends and family. Now, if you need to build your sphere of influence, which is eventually will happen as you do more transactions, there are some tips that I just wrote down here. One, be friendly to everybody and add value every chance you get. Maybe that's buying the person in front of you a cup of coffee and striking up a conversation while you wait for the coffee to be made. In the 4 minutes it takes the barista to make the coffee, warm up the bagel, and bring it over and call out that stranger's name, you could have had a 4-minute conversation about, how's your day going? That's awesome. Glad to hear it. What do you do? Oh, that's awesome. I'm in real estate. It might end there. You bought somebody a coffee, you threw some goodwill out into the world, move on with your day. But that might turn into, oh, really? I've been thinking about selling my house. My cousin Jane is looking to buy. My little sister is trying to upsize, whatever it might be. They may ask for your card. Hat tip, have some cards on hand. So just being friendly to people will slowly build your influence, build your brand, build your sphere, and do more business for you. So bear that in mind. The other thing that I like to do is, with my social media, I like to add value. Um, don't inundate people, like I said, with real estate business stuff on your personal business page or your personal page. If you're going to have a business page, vice a personal page, that's fine. There are pros and cons to doing both a personal Facebook page and a business Facebook page. Some coaches might tell you to do both, some might tell you to focus on one. I think the most important thing is follow about an 80-20 rule for your personal page. About 80% of what you put out there should be personal in nature, friendly, all the same common stuff that you do on social media. about 20% or so of your posts should be real estate related. Either you posted that you had a great client and you just closed and you're so happy for them. You post an article about trends in remodeling and ask questions about what colors other people like. I did a quick Facebook survey one time where I just posted a picture of a really nice soaker tub and another picture of a really luxurious walk-in shower. And the post was simply, if you could only have one, would you pick a luxury walk-in shower or a relaxing soaker tub? That post got hundreds of comments from all different people. Um, Simple, right? Real estate-esque, but still personal in nature and still very friendly, opened up great conversations. Occasionally post an actual dedicated real estate article. Again, if you sold a house, post that you sold the house. If you got a great review from a client, post that you got a great review from a client. But minimize the amount of extra real estate business you're throwing on your personal page all the time, because you will eventually inundate your profile with business, and that can turn off a lot of your sphere of influence. You got to find that happy balance. Go to meetup groups, go to investor forums. If you have a local library in your area, call your local librarian and ask them if you can host a free first time homebuyer clinic. Advertise it in the library. First time home buyers, maybe they're renting right now, they want to buy a house, maybe they just want some extra knowledge. They show up, you give them value. You don't sell them anything, you're not trying to recruit them into you just give them information. It's helpful. They'll probably ask for your business card, they might ask for a consultation right then. The point is not to sell them on something, the point is to give them value. And libraries are all about free events. They have the venue, they have the space. All you have to do is book it in advance, put it on their calendar, and you are now the expert to at least a handful of potential first time homebuyers in your specific market. So that's one way to slowly build your sphere. A couple other things you can look at is ask for referrals from your current sphere. So let's say your current sphere of influence is fairly small because you're new to an area and you would like to slowly build that up. Don't be shy about reminding your current sphere of influence that you're in real estate and you'd love a referral. Um, it's all about staying top of mind with the sphere you have to get those referrals. You don't have to beg them every other day, but just do little touches that remind your sphere you're in real estate. You want to be top of mind, meaning when someone in your sphere hears the word real estate or hears the word realtor, the first thing they think of is your name. That's what you want. And so keeping in contact, shooting a quick text, a little bit of social media, friendly value adds throughout the course of the year. Remind your friends and family and sphere of influence that you're in real estate. And when someone says, I'm thinking of selling, I need to buy, my cousin Janet is moving too, the first thing they think of is reach out to Jane and Joe and John. They're great agents. And that will slowly build your sphere. Okay, since I'm new, should I pay for leads to help build my sphere of influence and get more business? Now, different people will tell you different things here. Walt Key will tell you absolutely not. Do not pay for leads ever to anyone for any reason. I know that's contrary to what a lot of people will tell you, but I've done pretty well in real estate and I've never paid a dime for a single lead. It's all been organic from the things that I do and the things that I'm talking about. Don't pay for leads. By all means, if you want to pay someone a referral fee because they close a transaction, great. Work with other agents. If there's an agent that's just crushing it in your office and they've got more business than they can handle, they very well may send you a referral for 25 or 30% referral fee. I would much rather pay someone else 30% of a closed deal than pay some entity monthly that might turn into something. especially when you're first getting started, because you're not making a lot of money in this business. Why would you go spend a bunch of money in advertising and lead generation when you don't have the revenue to do that? Now I've been in, like I said, since 2018, so I'm going on right at 3 years as of this month. Never spent a dime on any lead gen. I'm doing just fine. So can you. I'm all about referrals. I have some great lenders that I've networked with. I have some other agents that they have a strict, hey, once I hit this many clients, I can't handle them all. I'll refer them out. Build your business that way. Quality referrals from another agent that's successful are going to have far more weight than some random lead generated off the internet that you now have to try to build a rapport with. Just bear that in mind. So I personally don't pay for leads. Build relationships, get quality referrals, don't pay for leads that may or may not pan out. Okay, so when I say referrals, vice leads, what am I talking about? Real quick. In my mind, a lead is any dollar amount I have to pay in advance in hopes of getting a deal. A referral is simply a percentage of a deal I closed, and I didn't pay anything in advance to do that. So if you weren't quite sure what I meant, that's the difference between leads and referrals in my mind. Do not pay monthly for anything. Do not pay in advance for anything. If you close a great deal, happily pay a referral fee to the person who gave you that client. And then add that client to your sphere of influence, nurture that relationship. It'll build, and that's another 5 to 6 referrals every year from there. Okay. If you're going to pay for leads, I know Walt, you just said don't ever pay for leads. If you're going to pay for some sort of lead gen, I'm a numbers guy. I spent over 2 decades doing analytical work for the government. I like to dig in and read the stats and see what works, and I always go by the numbers. In my opinion, one of the best dollar cost per lead is actually getting on a dialer and using a service to geo target your farm, your neighborhood, the areas you want to buy and sell, and calling people. And I don't mean calling them to try to sell them, right? That's the sales pitch is never going to work. You gotta change your mindset. Figure out where you want to do business, right? That's the beauty of geo leads is I know I want to do business in this neighborhood. I want to do business in this price point. I want buyers and sellers in this general area that I want to be within. Get a dialer, pay for the service, and call those individuals. Now, very many of them are going to not answer. Very many of them are going to hang up on you. That's okay. You're not trying to convince anyone to work with you. You're simply trying to find people that might already want to do a deal or people that are open to establishing a relationship with you, and you're simply going to put them in your sphere of influence. Quick example. Small neighborhood, you pay for a monthly service, RedX, Mojo, Vulcan, whatever dialer you want, whatever service you want, and you spend a couple hours of your day calling folks up. Hey, Jane, this is Walt Key with Long and Foster. I'm just calling because I sold the property over on 123 Main Street, and I just wanted to see if there's anything I might be able to help you with. No, not a problem. I appreciate that. Hey, just out of curiosity, is there a real estate agent that you already know and trust and you're sure you would do business with if you were to do something in the future? Oh, no? Well, listen, I'd love to stay in contact with you. I don't want to take up a bunch of your time, but would you mind passing me your email address and I'll just touch base with you periodically? Maybe they say yes. It's just an email. Sure, why not? Maybe they say no. Hey, no problem. I appreciate your time. Thanks so much. You're not trying to sell anybody on anything. You're trying to add value. You're trying to help people. And the ones that want your help will give you their email address. What do you do with the email address? You put them in your sphere of influence. You put them in your database and you add them to a weekly newsletter. And you go, Walt, what do you mean? What is this weekly newsletter? Well, I told you earlier that you need to stay top of mind, right? You need to be the first name that comes to all of your clients' minds when someone they are talking to wants to do real estate. One of the best ways you can do that is by maintaining a constant presence in their head. A weekly email whether they read the whole thing or not, is 52 contacts a year to each of your clients just by sending out a weekly email on the same day of the week every time, roughly the same time, add a little bit of value to their lives. If they read it, great. You're going to put good quality content in it. You're going to make it personal. You're not going to make it 4 pages long. Keep it short, keep it sweet, add some value. If they read it, that's awesome. If they don't read it, they're at least going to see your name and the fact that you're sending them valuable content 52 times a year. When someone that they know says the word real estate, your name is going to be the one that comes up because they've seen your name at least 52 times a year from your weekly newsletter. Now, there are other things you can do to maintain those contacts as well, right? Send them a text or give them a call on things like birthdays, anniversaries, holidays. Say that, hi, I was in your neighborhood and I was just thinking about you. Hope you're doing great today. Have a wonderful weekend at random. Um, I like to take my closed transactions for my buyers and I add it immediately the day that we close. I put a calendar reminder for 1 year so that I can send them a handwritten card on their house anniversary, the 1 year anniversary of them closing on their house. And so cards, text, phone calls, emails, there are so many different ways to maintain little touches with your client base so that you stay top of mind. That's what you want to do with those calls. Be friendly. Some of them will want to do a deal right away. That's great. Do that deal. Most of them will not want to do a deal right away. But if you're friendly and they say, sure, here's my email, put them on the weekly distro, keep in contact with them, and that might pan out down the road. And that's a quick way to build your sphere of influence over time. Not everyone in your database is going to do a deal with you, but a percentage of your database is going to do a deal with you. And a greater percentage of your database is going to know someone that wants to do a deal that year. So the bigger you build that database, the more deals you're going to do. Let's talk a little bit about that. So that's sphere of influence. That's cold calling if you want to. That's really the only lead I would ever say pay for. That's going to be the best bang for your buck. You're talking about potentially pennies per lead, vice hundreds of dollars a month out on something that does or doesn't pan out. And even then, I don't do it. But if I was going to build my sphere of influence any other way, that's probably how I would. Here's something else I like to do. Every single for sale by owner I come across, if I'm not running right on time for a meeting or a showing or a closing, I will stop immediately and I will call that for sale by owner. If I don't have time to stop and talk, I'll grab a quick picture of the sale by owner sign, take down a note, take a picture of the house, and I'll keep going. And I'll get back to them later when I'm not running behind for something. I don't try to sell for sell by owners, folks. This is not a sales business. This is a relationship business. But here's what I do. I call the for sale by owner. I'm perfectly open with them. I said, hey, my name's Walt with Long and Foster. I saw your for sale by owner sign. Tell me about your house. And I let them talk. And they'll probably talk for 5 or 6 minutes about all the great things about their house. And this is what we've done. And we've lived here for so long. And it's a wonderful house. And it's the greatest spot. And the back deck is this. And let them talk. You're slowly building a relationship with them. The more they talk, the more comfortable they're actually going to be with you when you talk. Do not throw a bunch of market data at them talking about how for sale by owners to statistically don't sell their own house and they're going to go with an agent, so it might as well be you. Don't do that. You're not trying to sell their house. You're trying to build a relationship. If they want your help selling the house, the relationship will be what gets it done. I personally have closed a for sale by owner for my buyer just last week. I just got another for sale by owner for my buyer. Our offer was accepted. You don't have to sell their house to build a relationship with them. If my buyer buys their house, that's a month to 45 days that I'm going to be interacting with them on a regular basis, keeping them updated. What can I do for you? Reminding them of what they need to do as a seller because they may not know. And you're going to build a relationship with the seller as well. And then at the end of it, say, hey, it was wonderful working with you. So happy that this all worked out great. Let me know if you need anything in the future. Do you mind if I keep your email handy? They're going to say yes. Put them in your sphere of influence. Put them on your weekly distro. Because even though they sold now, they may be a buyer client down the road again. They may need to sell again. They may need to upsize, downsize, whatever happens. The average person buys or sells a house every 5 to 8 years, depending on what statistic you look at. This is a chess game. It's not a game of checkers. So for sell by owners, call every single one. Maybe it's great for your buyer and you can get your buyer a home without the crazy competition that's going on right now because nobody else is calling for sell by owner to try to get a buyer in the door. They're all calling to try to give them some sales pitch about why they should let them list. The last for sell by owner that we just closed, my buyer was the only offer. We gave them full price because they were underpriced. We did a home inspection. The seller made repairs. It was smooth as silk. That would not have happened had they been listed in the MLS. I didn't try to sell their house. I bought their house for my client. And now we have a great relationship and we've been texting back and forth about some little things as they start moving into a land deal that their parents gave them. That's a long story. But that may turn into a referral client down the road of mine just because I sold their house for them through my buyer. I have sold for sale by owners by calling the for sale by owner, asking about the house, and adding value. Everything from a couple $100,000 beater to $1 million horse farm. I've done that not by asking them if I could sell their house, but by building the relationship with them and adding value, giving them some tips and tricks. I've called for sale by owners that I found on Zillow because their pictures were horrible and dark and you just it was so unprofessional. They didn't know, right? They took it on the cell phone, didn't realize how bad the lighting was. They had no write up at all. And I've called them and just told them, can I give you some tips on how you can better market it on Zillow? I don't like Zillow, don't get me wrong, but I like people and I'm always going to help people regardless of how it turns out. Um, that's just how I do business. It's all about helping people. Okay. All right, that's enough on for sale by owners. Call them, help them out. If you want to call expireds in the MLS, call expireds. Whatever you want to do is fine. But the point that I'm trying to make to you is you are not trying to sell people. You are trying to add value to people. Build a relationship, and the transaction will come from the relationship later. Okay. What's the next line I have here? Always focus on the relationship over the transaction. How do I help you? I guess I got ahead of myself on that. So that's what I tell every agent that I've ever had coffee with. That's what I do. Don't try to be a salesman. Be friendly with people. Build relationships with people. Okay, moving on. For sale owners, call them, but don't try to sell them. I guess I got ahead of myself there. Staying top of mind with your sphere of influence is number one. I got ahead of myself there too. The newsletter, text them on the holidays, send them a Christmas card for crying out loud. Hand write that Christmas card. Is it going to take a little bit to write out 45, 60, 80 Christmas cards? Yep. Do it. It's time well spent to nurture those relationships that you already have. Staying top of mind is number one. And it doesn't always have to be a great client that you bought a house, sold a house, whatever it is. I've done lots of deals from rental clients. That's another thing. Let me jump back on that real quick. That I don't know why that just came to me. I should have had that written down because I tell new agents this all the time. Never, ever, ever turn down a lead that comes to you for free, even if it's a renter. A lot of people say, "Oh, there's no money in rentals. I don't waste my time." Give you a quick story. When I was new in the business, my broker said, "We have a renter coming into the area from a different state. Does someone want to help them find a rental?" I said, "Yes, absolutely, I'll do it." Took us about 2 months of shopping, occasionally on the weekend. It was not a ton of my time, but I found them the perfect rental. And they were in that rental for about a year. Their plan was to build a house on a 21-acre lot in a beautiful equestrian community that they already owned. They just needed to rent for a while they decided to build. Towards the end of that 1 year lease, I'd stayed in contact with them. I'd sent them a Christmas card. They were on the newsletter. Towards the end of that 1 year lease, they called me and they said, "Well, we've been talking with our builder. We just don't think it's cost effective to build what we want. We'd like you to help us buy a house." Sounds great. Let's go shopping. About a month later, we closed on a $600,000 house. And about 2 weeks after we closed, they said, "Hey, Walt, now that we've got this house, we don't really need this 21-acre lot in this beautiful equestrian community. Would you help us sell that?" Absolutely. So that lot closes in July. Because I listed that lot, I had an out of town buyer shopping for equestrian communities reach out to me from a newsletter post that I did, and a bad agent literally just forwarded my contact to them with no questions, no comments, no nothing. They weren't actually representing the client, they had just kind of linked up with them somehow and they were willy nilly in it. So the out of state buyer called me directly and said, "Tell me about your 21-acre lot." That lot didn't work for them, so we started shopping for horse farms. They wound up buying a horse farm in another state, and I didn't do any sort of deal with them, but they were wonderful people anyway. But in the process of trying to find them the right horse farm, I called a for sale by owner that was selling a horse farm. It wasn't right for these buyers, but I wound up building a relationship with that for sale by owner, and I sold their $1 million horse farm for them instead of them trying to do it any longer for sale by owner. So that one rental client that gave me, I think, $150 once they were rented from the broker fee turned into millions of dollars in business because it was the relationship I built while we were trying to shop for renters or for a rental for the renters. So never underestimate the relationship you're going to build. If you have a rental lead, take the rental lead. Eventually, they probably won't want to rent anymore and they could be a buyer. They may refer you to a family member because even though they're renting, maybe a family member is ready to buy, they're ready to sell. There's so many great ways to do this. So always, always, always don't turn down a lead, even rentals. Okay, let's talk about inexpensive marketing that you can do. I don't recommend you spend a lot of money on marketing, especially when you first get started. But as you build your business, it's not a bad idea to sideline a little bit of money aside to do some marketing to keep your business moving. That's fine. Some things that you can do that are really inexpensive, maybe even free. Social media, right? I talked about it earlier. Every time you get a new listing, every time your listing closes, every time that a client gives you a glaring review, make a social media post, put it on your Facebook, on your Instagram, on your Twitter. Real quick headline about how wonderful your clients were and you're so happy to be in this business. You love serving people. That's it. Let the closing, let the days on market. If you put it like when I sold the $1 million horse farm, I put it on there that we were under contract in 10 days. Not bad for $1 million horse farm. This was a couple years ago when the market wasn't so crazy and it was actually taking some time to sell properties. Um, if they give you a great review, let the review speak for itself. Don't get wordy. Just, hey, I'm so happy I was able to serve these clients, and let them read the review. That's free. If you want to boost it on social media, you can pay a little bit to boost that review on social media so that more people see it other than just who's in your friends list. That's fine. It's not cost prohibitive to do that. Um, Create some flyers, pass them around the neighborhood. I know agents who will take the time to write a letter, 50, 60 letters, because they're targeting a small neighborhood of 50 or 60 houses. And they will drive through the neighborhood and put a flyer at every door. If they have time to door knock and shake hands and hand them the flyer, that's even better. If you don't have time for that, or if you're really uncomfortable knocking on someone's door as a stranger, that's fine. You can at least put the flyer through the neighborhood. Post the flyers in the offices, in the coffee shops, in the libraries, wherever there's a cork board. Pop a flyer and your business card. It's free. Worst case, someone takes it down and throws it in the trash. Um, I've done business from business cards that people found on the wall at my previous Navy work a year after I left. Those you never know when those business cards will turn back up, so do that. Um, don't spend a ton of money on oddball marketing like a billboard or a paid access to a TV channel. Or if you got lots and lots of money and you're doing so much business that you can afford to pay for TV advertising, you don't need to be watching my YouTube channel. You're doing just fine on your own. I'm talking about inexpensive ways that you can market yourself. Social media is a great platform. The flyers in a neighborhood that you specifically want to do business with are great. You can door knock. There's nothing wrong with door knocking. It's still a valid technique. If you don't want to, don't. I don't. I'm doing enough business. I don't door knock. If I needed to drum up some business, I would either door knock or I would cold call some people and establish a relationship. So those are just a few quick things you can do for inexpensive marketing. Marketing, we could spend an hour just talking about marketing. So if there are specific things you think about, you have questions about, if there's a marketing technique that you are wondering if anyone has ever tried out, drop me a comment. I'll answer it with as much data as I can get you, but I'll also, if there's a broader consensus that there should be more conversation about that, I'll do another video and we'll talk about that specifically. I just don't want this to drag on all day. It's coffee with Walt, not hang out all day with Walt. So, okay, last but not least, and this is going to be a little bit controversial perhaps because so many people think you can just get into real estate, you're your own boss, set your own hours. Um, the number one way that you can build your business successfully is outwork everyone else. Do more, drive farther, take more leads, give better service, be more attentive, be more responsive than everyone else. And that quality of work will build your brand faster than you can possibly imagine. I have had people call me, had no idea who it was. Pick up the phone. Hi, this is Walter. Hi, Walt. This is Sarah. You don't know me, but I have a house I'd like to sell. It's over here. It's this size and shape. And on, bomb, 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 bomb. And I'm like, okay, yeah, sounds good. Yeah, tell me about it. Yeah, okay, good. Um, how did you get my info? Oh, my friend Sally. We're neighbors, and she said you helped her buy her house, and it was just great. She told me I had to call you. All right. I didn't know this gal. Didn't know she was a neighbor of a former client. No idea. But the service I provided the one client was of value and they referred over to their neighbor. And so that happens. Outwork everybody. My alarm clock goes off in the 5 o'clock hour. Now, part of that is because I'm former military and it's easy for me to get up in the 5 o'clock hour. If you're one of those folks that sleep until 8, you are spending so much of your time wasted. From 5-ish to when everyone else wakes up for the day, I can work out, eat, be on my MLS, scan every new property, do some market statistics, follow up on any emails that might have came in, set my day up for success before 8 a.m. when most people are starting to get up and get into the grind. Those few hours a day of extra legwork on your part will go a long way towards your business being organized and successful in the future. Now, likewise, flip that on its head. I work late. Sometimes I'm at my laptop right before dinner time with my family, and I put a do not disturb on my phone at 8 a.m. or I'm sorry, 8 p.m. because at 8 p.m. I'm going to take a couple hours and I'm going to wind down with my wife and kids. And anything happening after 8 p.m. is going to wind up waiting till the next day anyway, because all of the attorneys, all of the brokerages, all of the offices, they're closed. So it's okay. At 5 o'clock in the morning, when my alarm goes off, the do not disturb automatically turns off. I'll see all of those emails and texts, and I'll be able to get the jump on the day before that client that emailed me late that night even wakes up to see it. And so that works out very well. Outwork everybody. Do things for other agents. If you're newer or if you're trying to build your business and there's a rock star agent in your office, ask that agent if you can help them with open houses. Ask that agent if you can take a couple of the referrals and take some clients off their hands to help them ease their, crazy day, whatever it might be. Add value to the other clients in your, or to the other agents in your office as well, and it'll add up quick. I had a coffee one time that I requested from a seasoned agent in my office who had been in the business for decades, and I wanted to pick her brain on how I could do some things in my own business better. And it was a great coffee meeting, really enjoyed it. But essentially, at the end of the coffee meeting, this agent who'd been around for quite a while says, Walt, I really don't think there's a whole lot I can tell you. You're doing just fine. What can you tell me? So it was kind of a great exchange, but it was absolutely worth buying a cup of coffee to pick her brain, and she could pick my brain a little bit. You got to make time to grow and always be learning, always be working harder than the next person. That's on you and on your business. So if you're not learning, you're not growing, if you're not taking the time to dig into the MLS, find the market statistics, what are the trends doing, follow all that stuff. Okay, that's it in a nutshell. Those are the big ticket pieces that I do generally to, I think, make my business successful. If you have other questions, if you want to talk about the business entity, do you have an LLC? Do you have an S Corp tax? Whatever else. Do you pay for an assistant? I don't right now. Maybe in the future I will. Do you pay a transaction coordinator? I don't right now. Maybe in the future I will. I think there's a point for every agent that they have to say, this is how much workload I can take before I should hand it over to somebody else so that I don't drop anything and I don't start losing attention. And so at some point, I will very likely hire a transaction coordinator to take a lot of those administrative tasks and automate them with somebody else so that I can focus on building my business even more. Because my goal at some point is to be the number one grossing agent in our MLS. I'm always going to be a single agent. I think that's just my niche. But I want to be the number one solo agent in our MLS. And so there will be some process refinement that I still need to do. And there will be a point where I have to bring on an assistant or a transaction coordinator to help me out with those. But I'm probably never going to build a team, never going to build a group. Just not my thing. If you want to join a team, I'm not saying don't join a team. There's some great benefits to being on a team and letting other seasoned agents help you out. That's all fine and good. But I come at this from an individual agent perspective. So I'm going to wrap it up now. This is getting pretty long. Really appreciate everybody's time. Hopefully, this was value added to some folks. Again, if you have questions, if you have concerns, if there's things you want to address in more detail, leave a comment. And if there's a group of you that want to address it, I will absolutely take the time to do another video specifically talking about that thing. Otherwise, have a great day. Hope everyone has a happy Monday. Enjoy the rest of your coffee. Thanks so much.